We just had a full breakdown of the latest upcoming installment of Monster Hunter Wilds directly from Capcom during their TGS 2025 showcase, going over everything that we can expect to see and play in Title Update 3, which we now have a release date for. It is just around the corner, dropping on Monday 29th of September, entirely consisting of the Final Fantasy XIV special collab and the much awaited raid-like encounter up against Amiga Planetis. I thought it prudent to prepare for the upcoming release by going over all of the recently updated weapons, in particular especially those with significant mechanical changes, to help make informed decisions on which weapons you want to go take out in order to effectively maximize your OP-ness. This isn't every single one of the 14 weapons, virtually all of them have had some form of balancing take place. As I say, it's just those that have caught my eye that have significant mechanical changes. Let's make a start with a poster weapon of the franchise, Capcom's favorite child. Of course, the Greatsword has had some updates. The adjustments have helped make it feel a lot more fluid, making it easier to chain into various attacks from certain ones, helping make the combos feel more fluid and faster and less stop and start. For example, they've made it easier to chain into tackle from combos such as strong wide slash to true charge slash, tackle to true charge slash, and side blow to strong charge slash. In addition, leaping wide slash now chains faster into side blow, and strong wide slash now chains faster into true charge slash. Quicker, more responsive, much more dynamic. In addition to that, the raw damage for charge slash, jumping charge slash, strong charge slash, true charge slash, and strong wide slash have been slightly increased, with the element scaling for strong charge slash, TCS, and strong wide slash having been increased as well. So all around very tasty changes for Greatsword, which is just as well since we'll have the new Dark Knight gear and the Shadowbringer sword to play with. This next weapon received a massive glow up, bringing it back to its former glory of world. We are of course talking about the Omega Bonk, the hammer. Whilst it's always had its initial offset attack that you can do by performing the upswing combo finisher, it never actually had a follow-up attack. Not all weapons do, but it definitely feels like it was really missing from the hammer. Now, after successfully offsetting a monster and knocking it backwards, you are able to go into a follow-up spin slam. Speaking of the offset, locking it behind the upswing, which is the third attack in a combo string as the combo finisher, felt really weird and clunky. It had to be very premeditated for you to get it. Now, both uppercuts from the charged upswing and the mighty charge upswing have offset properties added to them. These changes alone have made the weapon feel far more responsive and reactive, making the weapon feel much more dynamic. Not only that, but charge levels now increase faster after chaining into a charge step from a dodge. The charge big bang raw damage has been increased, and the raw and element scaling for mighty charge slam have also been increased. Fantastic round the board buffs, making the hammer feel super powerful. Next up, we have the wonderfully versatile jack of all trades, master of all of them, the Sword and Shield. This one got really gutted in Title Update 2. Pretty much all round nerfs, one of which they reversed in TU 2.5 by bringing the damage of counter slash back up. But there's one thing they updated which really has changed everything with the weapon. The final hit from the Perfect Rush combo as you're doing the scaling slash and jumping up into the air has an additional flurry of 4 hits, dealing some really good damage, reminiscent of when you do the focus strike up against a not quite wound and it does that flurry of blows. This is really powerful and has made the Perfect Rush once more become one of the strongest, if not the strongest move that the Sword and Shield is capable of dishing out. In addition to your spinning Reaper at the end of a combo and your full power charged chop finishers as well, you definitely want to find windows of opportunity to get off the full Perfect Rush combo. This is best done in multiplayer when the monster doesn't have its focus on you, and or when it's downed or stunned or paralyzed and you've got this nice big window to play with. Another weapon with a fantastic glow up, we have the Super Anime Dual Blades Data-Bio. In addition to having its damage increase round the board, both raw and elemental for virtually all attacks, in some cases one's been slightly reduced while the other's been slightly lifted, we've got some really nice mechanical changes to the weapon. Your movement speed whilst in demon mode got increased both for TU2 and for TU 2.5. Your Naruto run has never felt so good, but the really big one was the addition of a new focus strike move that isn't the Heavenly Blade blade dance, which has always felt a little bit underwhelming in terms of damage. Now, when doing the focus strike Turning Tide, it can be chained into Turning Tide Drill, which is a new finisher that delivers a multi-hit attack to the targeted wound by pressing the attack input during the initial animation. It feels way stronger and leaves you right there in front of the wound that you first connected with, allowing you to fluidly and effortlessly chain straight into any of your combos. Lastly, the damage boost from getting your perfect evades, putting you into Demon Boost, lasts longer. It seems to be around 40 seconds now, and the damage from the dodge attacks you can do whilst in Demon Boost, called Screw Slicer, has seen its raw damage, element scaling, and ailment scaling be greatly increased. It's a very good time to be a massive weeb. Another glow up so big that the weapon is barely recognizable from its initial offering. Let's take a look at some of the updates they've given the lance, as well as big increases to raw and element damage for near enough every single one of the attacks. They've reduced the amount of damage you take whilst in Power Guard, increased the amount of damage your Retribution Thrust does following a perfect guard, allow you to chain into a charge counter straight after a perfect guard or guards with minimal knockback, have extended the distance traveled when inputting a direction with Leaping Thrust, Return Thrust, and Payback Thrust, and super importantly, have adjusted the transition from wide sweep into mid thrust, high thrust, and dash attack to be quicker. So you can use wide sweep much more fluidly in your combo strings now, which is great because it's one of the strongest attacks the lance can do. Where I'd suggest using this is after doing one mid thrust, go into a wide sweep before you go into the next mid thrust afterwards. You can do the same thing with a high thrust 1, wide sweep, high thrust 3. The lance has been absolutely peak since the get-go, and it just keeps getting better and better with each new iteration. Next up, we've got the very powerful, albeit one-trick pony, the Switch Axe. They've really given the element scaling on Switch Axes that use element files a lot of love. Tons of the attacks have seen significant increases to the damage, for stuff like the follow-up explosions from sword attacks, and follow-up explosions from Unbridled Slash, Full Release Slash, and the follow-up Morph Slash after doing an offset. We've gotten increases to switch gauge recovery whilst in Axe mode, and also an increase to amp gauge recovery in sword mode when using the triple slash, though all around better gauge sustain in either form. It's also now easier to adjust your distance to monsters when using Unbridled Slash and Full Release Slash whilst in focus mode. This is great because Full Release Slash is your absolute bread and butter, your core attack that you want to be using in order to really dish out as much damage as possible. Lastly, and quite a big one as well, they have relaxed the offset detection for the offset rising slash, effectively making it easier to land the offset attack. They've also increase the offset build-up it causes, allowing you to do the full knockback offset attack more often. Pretty cool changes. You may want to explore trying out some of the element file weapons to see if it shakes up your playstyle at all, perhaps moving you away from spamming Full Release Slash. It honk, it bonk, it very strong. Next up, we're going to quickly look over some of the changes for the Hunting Horn. They've got a few cool things like the damage hitbox for Echo Bubble being significantly increased, and the evade window for the offset melody also having been increased, but the ones I want to focus on are the changes that make it feel far more fluid, chaining from one thing to another. The Echo Bubble can now be chained into from an offset melody, a resounding melody, or even your encore, and the hilt stab attack has been super juiced for it to now have hyper armor very similar to the Greatsword's tackle attack, preventing you from being knocked back if you time it correctly with the monster's attack. You'll see a blue glow and the animation slightly changes, as if leaning further into it and doing it again. This is an absolute game changer which will really help you stay dynamic and keep your combos going. Not only this, but the hilt stab itself is also really flexible and can be chained into from Focus Strike Reverb, Echo Bubbles, special performances, encores, or even just evading. With the correct doots and toots, you're going to be able to honk and bonk for much longer. And lastly, we have everyone's favorite vaulting bug stick, the Insect Glaive. The weapon has seen some really nice buffs to a bunch of the different attacks. For example, the raw damage of the Strong Reaping Slash and Dodge Slash have both been increased. The raw damage and elemental scaling of Strong Double Slash and Tornado Slash have been increased, and they fixed an issue that caused the mid-air combo to have lower than intended attack power. But there are two main mechanical changes I did want to focus on here. One, that they have relaxed the offset detection protection, making it easier to trigger offset attacks. When you press and hold down the strong descending slash and you fire it off a little early to connect it properly, the window just seems a lot more forgiving. And the second one is whilst performing the backwards vault, your invulnerability window has been increased. You've got more iframes whilst you're doing it. You can also increase the distance that you vault backwards by using the skill evade extender. Some pretty cool changes that should help make the weapon feel a lot more fluid, allow you to get your offset attacks easier, and maintain your combos whilst avoiding attacks a lot more dynamically. That's everything I've got for this one. As I mentioned at the start though, all of the weapons have seen balance changes, and there might even be a couple that have had a few mechanical changes as well that I didn't really see fit to include here. If there's anything that you thought deserved a mention, do feel free to leave that in the comments. And with TU3 just around the corner, we do not have long to wait before we can dive into some fresh content. If you enjoy my videos, I do stuff like this for Monster Hunter Wilds and all sorts of other games as well. Feel free to subscribe for more. But either way, thank you so much for watching. That's it for this one, and I'll see you in the Forbidden Lands.